Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Penn.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower Studios here in Hollywood, California with Universal Broadcasting Network. And then every Thursday and Saturday on my syndicated CNBC News radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and now all the time on iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. The rest is for contrast, and how you can have more hope and happiness with the guests. I've had so many fabulous past Oprah guests. That's why they call me the Asian Oprah, along with some wonderful awards. So if you missed any of the shows with Neil Donald Walsh or Marianne Williamson or Marianne from Gilligan's Island or Greg O'Brien or Rick O'Barry, just so many to choose from. Please go to any of the places, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, iTunes, and take a listen to those shows. And if you like them, please do subscribe for free or give me the finger or a like at Dr. Marissa on Facebook. And it is that time of the month. Yes, it is the last week of the month. My very popular series. I had met some listeners when I race out of the Long Beach Yacht Club, and he says, I have to admit, I don't listen every week, but I definitely listen to the last week to the sexual healing topics. And I have had just a wonderful array to talk about sexual healing. If you remember, a couple years ago is when I started with my Valentine episode with Dr. Pat Allen, who rakes me through the romance coals every year. And then I heard the statistic that up to 80% of women actually fake orgasms. So I knew that this was something that we had to talk about, and we're not comfortable talking about it, but I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. So if you've missed any of those, the playlist is on YouTube, from condom research on making sex better with latex to ridding us of female genital mutilation, to a men's panel, to an app that keeps us in safe sex, to online dating tips. There's so much. And today is no exception. I actually have Dr. Douglas Weiss calling in from Colorado. He's a nationally known author, speaker, and licensed psychologist. He's appeared on many national talk shows, including Oprah, Dr. Phil, Good Morning America in 2020. Dr. Weiss has made a television movie about his treatment of sex addicts on Lifetime called Sex, Lies, and Obsession, and hosted Winning at Marriage, an international television show. He's an Amazon bestseller with more than 30 books on how to successfully heal relationships, addictions, or cope with sexually addicted partners. Welcome to the show, Dr. Douglas Weiss.
Oh, it's so good to be here.
Hello and welcome.
Well, it's good to be here, Dr. Marissa.
Great. And you've worked in this field for a long time, but I'm sure
30 years.
30 years. I'm sure you, well, I saw your picture and watched a little bit of your YouTube, so you must use oil of Olay because you don't look that you've been working that long at it. But I'm sure you've collected quite a bit of experience in this whole arena of sex and pleasure and marriage and couples. I'd like to start with the whole term and the world of sexual addiction. So what is your definition of what that is, and what are the trends that you're seeing with people that they need sexual healing from in this area?
Well, I mean, sexual addiction it's a way of coping with life, either past or present. It's using sex, no matter what the behavior, self-behavior, behavior with others, to medicate, to avoid, to escape, in a way that becomes compulsive, self-destructive, and oftentimes, you tried to stop. I'm a recovering sex addict. I've been sober for over 30 years. No self-behavior, nothing outside my marriage. I take a polygraph to verify that. And people fly in and do intensives in our office every single week and have for many, many years.
So you've had that experience. Okay. So you've had that experience yourself.
Oh, yeah. I know what it's like to be totally out of control sexually. I know what it's like to have sex with several people a day. I know what it's like to be insane. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to be sober and free and well and healthy and have the best sex of your life, too. I would go for where I am today rather than there. And anyone can get there if they want to. If we want to talk about sexual addiction recovery, we can. But in working with sex addicts, that's how we discovered the 5 sex language. We discovered intimacy and anorexia. We discovered a lot of things in helping people deal with either their sexual abuse, their family of origin stuff, or just their brain being hijacked sexually, gluing it to the fantasy world and not knowing how to have relational sex.
Right.
And once they start learning how to have relational sex, I mean, addiction is not appealing.
Right. Now, your newest book, The 5 Languages of Sex, does help not just people who identify with sexual addiction, correct? This book is
this is for everybody to have a great sex life.
Okay.
I mean, if you're perfectly wonderful and you've never had a sexual impure thought, this book is for you because you want to learn what your sex language is, what your partner's sex language is, so that you can take them to the highest level of pleasure. I also wrote a book called The Power of Pleasure. I know your mission is to create more pleasure on the planet.
Yes.
And I love pleasure. Pleasure is a great thing. But what I've learned, Dr. Marissa, is that people don't talk about sex in an intelligent way to really know how to take their partner to another place, not just physically, but what is their sex languages? What is it they want to hear during the invitation, during the encounter, after the encounter, that can make their sexual encounters so much more pleasurable? I mean, it's mind-blowing how much more pleasure you can give your spouse or your partner.
Does it take the magic, though, out of the moment or the mood when you actually talk about, I like this, I don't like this, I like that? There's an intellectual part of me. I don't know if it's denial or avoidance because I don't want to do it, but it just seems like, I guess maybe I was schooled in, the romance fairy tale that the man is just, so, if you're with someone and you're intimate with them, that it's just supposed to be naturally good. I know
sure,
that that's not true. Sure,
he's supposed to be able to fix cars and rewire the house and do drywall and be able to be happy about doing that. There's lots of fantasies about men and fantasies about women that aren't helpful. Mm-hmm. But, and,
pun intended.
If you expect because you're a woman, you're supposed to be a gourmet chef. I mean, that might be disappointing to some people.
Right.
But it's not about gender. Because depending on your sex language, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. You might be fun sex language. You might be a desire. You might be a pleasure sex language. And this isn't about positions and doing this and doing that. This is about learning their language. Okay. Because once you learn their language, it might make sense why they like that or like this. And you can start having those conversations, even the conversation. Because in the book, we talk about, how often do you want to have sex? What are the things that you want to put in your sexual garden? What works for the both of you? And so we have those conversations as well.
Okay.
So if you can get a couple to sit down and have an honest conversation, it's going to go better for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do say that communication helps as long as you actually first understand and then agree. So let's talk about that. What if you're not the same? You're not using the same sex language. What then?
You're not. I can guarantee you. Okay. I have never met a couple who have the same sex language.
Really?
It doesn't happen.
Okay. So
now, it might happen on a one-night stand. It might happen like if you're just hooking up with someone over the weekend. Okay, because maybe you put out there exactly what you're looking for, and they might not be able to have mature sex anyway. So maybe that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But like on a long-term relationship, very rarely will you have the same sex language as the other person. And I think it's just kind of like, God, the universe, sense of humor, because you have to grow to be able to be a better lover to the person that you really love.
And there's the truth.
So when you understand that sex is a journey and your journey is to grow towards the other person and them to grow towards you, it's just like the love languages. I've never heard anyone have the same love language. Sex language, exactly the same.
Okay.
You're going to marry or be in a long-term relationship with someone who is sexually language different than you are, so you can grow.
Mm-hmm.
And once you accept that, it's like, okay, well, give me the book. Let me find out what makes them tick. And it's going to be different than what makes you tick, which you can look at as either frustrating and get resentment and get hurt about, or you can look at it as an adventure and just play with it and have a good time and grow and go, you know what? I can play you like a piano, baby. I know your language. It's desire. I know what to say to you. I know what makes you work. I know what to say to you during sex and after sex. I know how to put icing on the cake, baby, because I know you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's just like, if your husband likes a certain kind of food, you may not like it, but you'll get good at cooking at it.
Mm-hmm. That's a really, really, really good point, and I want to anchor that one because I think that many of us get into trouble because we have this BS, this belief system that people are just supposed to know that if you're in love, that's the sex is just naturally going to follow in the most perfect way or the most fulfilling way. But actually, it is there's a learning curve, just like anything else that you want to be really good at. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering why I'm talking about sex again, it is true. It is the Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa series, last week of the month, and you are tuned in to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And today we do have expert Dr. Douglas Weiss, who's the author of The 5 Sex Languages, and we're looking at how you can have a better sex life by tuning in and learning what your sex language is and what your partner's is. So let's go through the 5 so that I'm really clear so I can use this as homework whenever I end up with someone in bed. In a relationship. So, okay, so the first is...
It works better if you get more than one try.
Oh, okay. Well, what did someone tell you? No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't do one-night stands. I'm lucky if I do any stands at all. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about the 5 sex languages.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give the positive qualities, but in the book, we talk about being immature.
Okay.
Because you can be sexually mature in your language or you can be immature in your sex language. I'm going to say...
Okay. Oops. I just lost you there. Did we hang up? He hung up. Oh, I think you accidentally hung up. But that's okay. This is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, and we'll have him back on the line. And it is a very interesting concept. We're talking about the 5 sex languages that you have in any sexual encounter. And he is advocating for the long-term relationship. And here we are. And we lost you just for a second, but continue.
Just for a second.
Yep. Continue with the 5 sex languages. The first one is?
Yeah, the first sex language, the mature version, is fun. Fun is fun's fun. They want spontaneous sex at different locations. They want different kind of behaviors. They want to be creative. They want to experiment. For them, it's about a combination. For them, it's like gin and tonic. They want both. Okay, they want sex and fun. And once you understand they want fun, then you can kind of plan on that. Now, usually fun will not marry fun. That's the problem. Okay?
Right.
The next one is desire. This person being wanted, being desired, being pursued, planning for a sexual encounter. Pleasure is being wanted by their partner. Sexuality is bigger than just the act. It's about you want me. And when you're in a long-term relationship with someone who wants to be wanted, see the way you approach them sexually and pleasure them sexually will be different than fun. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're a pleasure sex language, this person they love to learn about sex. This person usually has a bookcase full of sex, doesn't mind trying different kind of activities as well. Them, sex is a lifelong journey. You're growing, you're learning, not just the physical acts of sex, but they want to engage you emotionally and spiritually and learn how to pleasure you and learn how to get more pleasure in sex themselves. For them, they're the professor of sex, and they're fun. They don't mind talking about it. You know, they're the person, if you're having girls' night out, they're the person who's going to bring it up. Okay?
Okay.
Now, patience is totally different.
That's not me.
And
I don't even know what it is, but I know.
Okay, so the patient love language is oftentimes misunderstood.
Okay.
The patient love language is sex language, rather, is someone who wants to make time for sex. Quickies are not going to work with this person.
Okay.
They want to take time for each phase of sex. This is the person who wants a 20-minute back rub, wants a 20 minutes fondling, and then slow intercourse, and then an orgasm, and then wants you to touch them and hang out. And see, for them, the time is really
maybe I am one
powerful for them. Okay, so they're the one who want patience, and again, gentleness is usually important to them. Gratefulness is usually important to them. So you want to kind of be in tune with that. If you got a patient person, you're going to have to you're probably not a patient love sex language. So you're going to marry one like that, and it's going to be real fun for both of you to figure it out. And right,
sarcasm intended.
Right. So there you go. You got some sex languages, and the last one is acceptance and celebration. This person, they want to know that you love all of them, that they want to feel safe and accepted. They want to feel celebrated inside and outside the bedroom. You accepting them, you being with them, valuing them, is really, really important. So they want to be celebrated. For them, sex and celebration is the party.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Are there more women?
I'm sorry, what?
Are there more women that are one type than the other, and men more
No,
one type?
this is a total gamble.
Oh, okay.
You could have this guy who's like, wild man, conquering the business, but he's a patient sex guy, totally blindside you.
Okay.
You can have this girl who's like, miss at the gym and strong and fit, and maybe she strikes you as very controlling, but she's actually a fun sex person.
Okay. Okay. So
So
you really
no way
can't
that you get in the
stereotype
bedroom,
here.
you know what you're dealing with.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were going to say something after.
No. But if you can discover the sex language, and in the book we walk how to capitalize on this. Once you learn that, you can have better sex the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Now, if you're someone who's jumping around from bed to bed, you probably want to learn all 5 languages so you can figure it out. But if you're in a long-term relationship, learning how to pleasure one person with the right sex language can totally make a huge difference. Now, Marissa, I'm a psychologist, so people fly from all over the country and world to come see me, literally every single week. Mm-hmm. So I had a couple that came in from another country, and they came in to have a better sex life. They were married for about a year or two, and they just couldn't figure it out. I had them discuss their sex languages, find out what it was, and then I had them ask for sex kind of generically, I want to make love to you. Okay. Then I said, now, you know your spouse's sex language, ask according to the language. And it radically changed the response. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could feel the energy. You know how you feel energy? Mm-hmm. It was amazingly different. And so if you want to get more yeses, you might want to talk the language of the person speaking.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes logical sense. But can you be a combo?
Yeah, there's some people that kind of will bounce around a little bit, but generally
you have a preference. It's like Myers. You have a preference in a certain type. Now, if you're a certain type, should you be looking for a compatible type? Like, is celebration better than? I mean, celebrations are better than fun.
You're probably attracted to that.
Okay, so celebration probably won't be attracted to.
If you're a patient person, you want someone to spend time on you. You're not that committed to spend time on someone else.
Okay. Oh, so it's it's not necessarily what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
No, this is like falling in love is an amazing thing, but you're going to grow financially, you're going to grow spiritually, you're going to grow in relationship. If you have kids, you're going to grow as a parent, and you're going to grow sexually. Mm-hmm. And when you fall in love, you're just beginning a master's level course on that person. Mm-hmm. And it takes decades to unfold the revelation of that person to you. And sex is part of that. But what I do is I give you a cheat sheet. And in the 5 sex languages, you have a cheat sheet to learn to expedite your sex education with your partner or spouse, and get that one knocked out.
Now, how do you? I mean, first you have to really know what your own sex language is, and this is where I do believe that there is a gender difference. Where I also coach couples and quite a few women who, you know, their whole life has been about pleasing their sex partner. So whatever,
sure, so they don't know how to pleasure
they
themselves.
don't know how to pleasure themselves, literally and figuratively and emotionally and intellectually. They don't know how. And so they go through the motions, they have a 20-year marriage, and then they finally say, I'm not fulfilled. I totally am not fulfilled. So for women who are in that situation, what would you say to them? Because I have a lot of listeners who write in.
I would say you're going to have to find your sexual voice. Every woman has a sexual voice. And a lot of times you tuned her out, you don't listen to her, and she gets smaller and smaller. You're going to have to, ask her to forgive you, grow in your sexuality. I have a book called Intimacy and Anorexia where I actually teach men and women how to actually find their sexuality and engage it. But the sex language book might be a really good start, because if she went to her husband and said, I want to have better and more sex with you, would you mind if we go through a book together so that we can do that? Most guys will sign up for that. and if you say, listen, this is really this is why I find that the 5 sex language gives the couples a language. Just like sex addiction gives a language, intimacy and anorexia gives a language. The 5 sex language gives a language. And once you have a language, you can have a conversation. This is why she's unfulfilled, because she's probably a patient sex language, and he's, hurry up and get it over with.
Right.
And she's totally unfulfilled. Well, if he can say, oh, this is what she's been trying to say to me, I get it. And then say, you know what, if you want foreplay for 15 minutes and we're going to have more sex, I'm all for that. Like, if this is what I got to do to warm up the car to be able to drive, most guys can put 2 and 2 together.
Yes, that's most guys, and probably the guys that go and see you. But I've heard horror stories, and putting the moose on the table right now, of men who don't want to be told how they are not doing well in the bedroom. I mean, that... there's immature versions, and that's why we didn't cover those, but the immature versions, there are guys who are just jerks. Okay. And then there are women who let guys be jerks. And I'm sure you've had shows on boundaries and communication, and she needs to have a boundary. And she might need to take him to get help. But if he's going to be a jerk, you can say, listen, you're going to be a jerk. You don't want to learn me? Well, then you don't get to play me, baby. When you want to learn me, you can play me. That's great.
Giving women a voice is really important. I've written several books about women getting their power.
Yeah.
And I believe in women having their power in a relationship. They should be in an equal relationship. And if they're in a relationship where they aren't using their power and they've given their power away, they need to get their power, even their sexual power, back.
Right.
And to be able to enjoy who they are as a woman. That's their right to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the guy being a jerk, you have to enable a guy to be a jerk to stay a jerk.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I totally hear you. Do you hear, listeners, what he's saying? That's what I've been preaching. So find your voice. I grow a lot of men up in my office. Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah. And they grow up. They grow up just fine. But you can't let them keep being a jerk.
Right. And it's it's very
I
common.
hear that she's been victimized, that she's been hurt, but she's also let herself continue to be hurt.
Right. Because we, especially for women, it seems like that critical voice that says you're not beautiful, you're fat, what have you done to let yourself go? Can we
talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I would love to, because it's the most common.
I have in the book, The 5 Sex Languages, I talk about a little bit about sex in the brain. Well, if a man is having sex with you maturely, eyes open, lights on, nurturing conversation, if he's looking at you during sex, he's attaching to you neurologically. The largest amount of brain chemicals, endorphins and kephalins and others, hit the prefrontal cortex, and boom, they literally glue to whatever they're looking at. The good news is, if he's looking at you during sex, he's gluing to you, so it doesn't matter what you look like. You could be as big as a barn or as skinny as a rail. You can be tall, you can be short, doesn't matter what color your hair is. he will glue to you, okay, like Velcro. So just make sure he's looking at you during sex. It doesn't matter what you weigh. It doesn't matter what size you are, top or bottom. Okay? Now, if he's looking at pornography and has an attachment over there and then tries to attach you, he's going to be confused. So you're going to feel that comparison. But if he's having sex maturely, eyes open, lights on, nurturing conversation, connecting to you, he is glued to you. So you can just throw the covers off and say, behold, the best thing you've ever seen in your life, and mean it. Because he's glued to you.
In theory, I want to hear that, and I want to accept that personally. But
Well, it's like ring the bell, feed the dog.
say that again.
It's like ring the bell, feed the dog, Pavlov's dog.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever the stimulus is, that's the woman's face and body. Doesn't matter, because when he gets that chemical load, he glues to whatever that is.
But I know a lot of women who don't feel that way about themselves and their own body image, so they don't want the lights
that's a whole other issue.
There's another issue. So
now, if you reject your own body, then that's on you. And again, they can do an exercise to find their sexuality, to own it, to play with it. I've had lots of women who've been sexually abused, abandoned, or living with sex addicts who've been injured in that process. And I do understand the healing process, but that's your responsibility to get your sexuality back.
Right.
It's your responsibility to look at your body and go, you're awesome. I love you. You're hot, baby. Like, you should be able to say that as a woman to yourself and mean it. And if you can't, just stay in that mirror until you can.
Well, that's
like, stop giving yourself an excuse not to like yourself.
Right. Well, then you hear people blaming, the whole ideal body image, body look.
You have
my
to buy
vote.
That Kool-Aid.
Right, but it's there, and I'm not.
But you have to buy it. I mean, you're a gorgeous woman. If you don't think so, then you bought the Kool-Aid.
Right.
That you're not enough.
Right.
And then who controls you? The people who buy cosmetics, the people who offer cosmetic surgery, the people who offer better clothes, better purses, better. You're just on a treadmill of being purchased.
Well,
women should be secure because they're just awesome as they are.
Right. That's the balance. But I know that, there's the one side where it's unrealistic to think that you could have the body that you had when you were 24 and modeling, and that's unrealistic. That you have to be okay with the aging process and, having kids and gaining some weight. And then there's the other extreme that says, well, you really... You use your body weight as a protection to keep people away, and you just don't care anymore. And then the other extreme of letting it go, and so what? I can just eat like a house. Definitely. Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think there are people who abandon themselves through drinking, through food, through sex. I mean, without addictions, I wouldn't have a job. And so, I get that there's addictions, and so that there's a balance there. But if you don't accept yourself, you're probably not going to heal.
Right. That's the number one job.
And if you need to be cardio in shape, get that. But you don't need to have a certain poundage. Now, but again, if your husband, most husbands don't have, if they're having sex maturely, don't have an issue with their wife's weight. Their wife has an issue with the weight. And then she comes to bed insecure and don't look at me and turn off the lights. Well, that's the worst thing you can do. You want the lights on so he can glue to who you are.
Good point.
And when you're amazing, you should be looked at.
And so it starts with that. It's, do you really think you're amazing? That's the work. When you get to the point where you think you're amazing.
Let's do a workshop together, and let's do an Amazing Women workshop. You and I will do it.
All right.
These ladies out.
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
There is a way for women to understand their amazingness and their awesomeness and really heal and forgive themselves if they've made mistakes, but to look at themselves without shame, without guilt, and understand that they're a beautiful, sexual, powerful force in the world. And if they can accept that, they're going to be a lot more fun than bed.
Yes. Amen to that. And with that, we're going to go to commercial break to thank the sponsors that we need and absolutely appreciate to keep this show going. So we'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out. Does it hurt to move? Do you have I'm getting old back pain, joint discomfort? Then let Lori Soki, a certified Pilates trainer posture specialist, help. Her new book, Be Healthy on Purpose, and 4 DVDs will get you back on your feet and off your back. Go to www.healthyposturenow.com today and let Lori help you get your groove back. That's www.healthyposturenow.com.
No way! I'm so cool. I'm so hot. I'm so hungry. I'm so full.
Did that complaining sound familiar to you? Hi, I'm Dr. Marissa, your cheerleader for hope and happiness 88% of the time. And they also call me the Asian Oprah. Well, I have a perfect app for you if you want to lose negative weight and stop complaining. Yes, the 21-day Fast from Complaining with Dr. Marissa app is now available. Every day you'll get a balanced tip that keeps you from complaining, as well as some sound effects. If you do complain and you press a button, it will give you sound to keep you from complaining. And if you make it the entire day without complaining, you'll get a nice warm experience. And there's a YouTube link also to help you not complain. And then at the end of the 21 days, because it takes 21 days to create a good habit, you'll get an overall score as well as a way to post your triumph with your friends and family on Facebook. So don't complain, have fun, and remember it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Peace in, peace out.
And we're back. You are tuned into Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, my weekly series on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday, naturally high noon, out of the Sunset Gower Studios, Hollywood, California, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday and Saturday, syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA. AM 1050, FM 106.5, and we have a really fabulous guest today that my sound engineer, Jarvis, is just loving every word he's saying, and that is Dr. Douglas Weiss, the author and more of the 5 sex languages. And we were just talking about it starts with a woman feeling really amazing about themselves, which will lead to lights on in the bedroom, eye contact, and then it really doesn't matter what you look like. You have him, and knowing what sex language to use. I do have a question about couples fighting about sex or disagreeing in the bedroom. So you actually say, is there a way that couples can never argue about sex? Because in the traditional way, the man wants it all the time, or the man wants you to go down, or all of that's the stereotype, and the women's, well, I don't, I can't say it because I'm going to get in trouble on my other channel if I say the thing you do after you take a bite of food. So, so.
There is a way for couples never to argue about sex. I haven't had an argument about our frequency forever.
Oh,
because
and your wife?
A long time ago, what we did is we set up a sexual agreement.
Oh, okay.
And in that sexual agreement, I know how often I'm having sex. My wife knows how often we're having sex. We rotate initiation back and forth. We set up an agreement, and it's been working for over 25 years.
Wow.
And we evaluate it every year, and we change it as we need to.
Does she want less than you? Does she go in with a less than you or more than you? Just curious.
No, we agree on a number together. And that's why I teach couples in the 5 sex languages. Listen, one of you might want 4 or 5, one of you might want 1 or 2. Okay, come up with another. Again, you're going to grow toward each other.
Mm-hmm.
That, just like money, just like parenting, you're not going to get 100% of your way.
Right.
I mean, you're not a 2-year-old. You're an adult.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So you figure out how to compromise on a number that works.
Okay.
And some couples say, you know what, on your week, if you want 2, my week, I want 4, we'll do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you are in agreement, it'll work. So I walk couples through how to have a sexual agreement, figure out your frequency, set up how you want to manage it,
Mm-hmm.
rotate it back and forth so you're really clear, and then set up consequences if you don't play by the rules.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And then it works. It really does work.
I believe you.
Like, I have no sexual anxiety because I know I'm having sex.
I hear that. I hear that. Something to aspire to for myself. Now, in your experience, in 30 years of experience, would you say that there's a good number to aspire to, or is it totally personal?
Well, it's personal, and even different cultures will be a little different for some cultures. Statistically, some cultures have sex more than others. But you can, it's what works for you guys.
Okay.
And it
So
might
there
change
isn't
before kids, during kids, adolescence, now the kids are gone. So it may change as you go through your life together.
Now, this whole idea of multiple or polyamorism, multiple wives, does that go into the bad part of fun as a sex
You're saying
language?
multiple what?
So those reality shows that I really shouldn't talk about, but they're throwing around. It's time for all of us to be polyamorous, so to have more than one partner. And does that
that's
fall
not going to
into?
probably work long term.
Okay.
Most women want you to give 100% of yourself to them. They want a total sacrifice.
Right.
Now there are some women who may, for whatever reasons, go along with that, and that's up to them. But as far as having a great sex, most of us aren't going to be experiencing 5 or 6 women a week. So let's talk about the most of us.
Yeah, I didn't know if anybody
I can't imagine
came
having 5 women with different sex languages trying to make them all happy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to make five women happy at all. But that's a whole other show. We don't do that on the show.
No.
But I do want to go back to what men can do to help women. Because men sometimes they focus on what they don't have instead of what they do have. And if they start praising their spouse or their partner for how good they are at what they do, and they nurture them and say, you're awesome, and celebrate them and really tell them how fulfilled and satisfied they really are, then the woman can grow into creativity. A lot of men understand what I'm about to say. When you go on to a new job, you're not confident as a man. You got to figure out what's going on. You get some experience, and then you start getting confident. And then after you're confident, you can get creative. Hey, we should do it this way, or think about this way, or change this system. Women are the same way. But oftentimes, men never let them get to the level of confidence because they stay in this critical place of what you're not doing. It's not enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. Instead of saying, you're doing this awesome, you're doing this awesome, you're doing this awesome, and letting them get confident, and then a woman can move from confidence to creativity. Some men think they can stay critical sexually for their wife, and somehow that's a motivating force. That is stupid.
It is.
What you want to do is say, baby, you are good at this, you're good at this, and maybe over time she believes you and gets confident. I think I could try this now. Yeah, you could. And I bet you'd be amazing at it.
Definitely, I totally agree with you.
So build her up.
Yeah, and vice versa. And vice
Oh,
versa.
yeah, you
I
should say
think
good things to men.
that
I have
gratitude
some
and
key words that
appreciation.
men and women want to hear during sex, and it's really very powerful stuff.
Like?
No, that's a whole other thing. No, I got a thing called the Best Sex for Men, Best Sex for Women. I don't give that out for free.
Okay.
I mean, it is mind-blowing stuff.
All right. You have me hooked. You'll have to bring that to the workshop we're doing. That'll be the bonus.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'll be the Asian Oprah giveaway. So do you ever not practice what you preach or teach?
Oh, no, I practice what I preach. Like in the book, we talk about intimacy outside the bedroom. 2 feelings, spiritual contact, 2 praises. I do that every day because intimacy outside the bedroom increases intimacy inside the bedroom.
And how many kids do you have?
I practice what I preach. I have a sexual agreement. You know what I'm saying? I build my life up sexually.
Yeah. Next time I'm going to have her on with you. That would be interesting.
She doesn't talk publicly.
Oh, she doesn't? Okay.
She runs everything. She runs all. I have several companies. She runs them all.
Good for her.
She won't stand up and talk. But she is happy. You can just look at her and see she's happy.
That's great. Do you have children?
Yep, 2 college-age children.
College age.
Now.
When did you start talking about this with them?
Oh, my son, we started having conversations about sexuality pretty early, like junior high school, and my daughter, just because so they're making good choices.
Right.
Because you can make a bad sexual choice, and it can affect you for a decade or 2.
Now, how much do you think religion has sort of made this whole area so uncomfortable or so moral, right, wrong, and so we don't have good conversations, and then many people go to the dark side to get the information? That's what I see.
I think when you use the word religion, it's different for me than spirituality. And I see religions as families. And some families are really good at talking about sex and sex is healthy and good. Like I work with people in every religion, from medicine men to rabbis to pastors to priests. I mean, I've worked with every Buddhist, every religion you can think of. So I don't have a dog in this fight. When it comes to sexuality, some families are better. Like, I work with Mormons. I've never found a Mormon woman who has a sexual hang-up.
Really?
There's something they teach those women that's just amazing. But there are families inside of, say, Christianity where they don't talk about sex at all.
Right.
They'll hire
That
me
was
to
my
come
home.
do it. But but you could say that in every religion. There are families, local expressions of every faith that are good about talking about sex and really bad about talking about sex.
Right.
So I see that as a kind of a religious family issue. And if some of them are good at it and some of them stink at it. They just really are. Some of them make it really bad, like sex is really bad and dirty, but save it for the one you love.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy message.
Yeah. Well, it is a crazy message. So when you're do you believe in premarital sex? Do you advocate it? Because I can't imagine not knowing how you are in the bedroom before committing your life to someone. I know in the old days that was
but
absolutely...
you could have that conversation about money. You don't really know what that person's like financially. You're taking a risk. Even if you're on a credit report, you don't know what you're really getting. You don't really know what you're getting as far as their personality because they're still selling you while they're dating. I can't tell you how many hundreds of couples who they changed the wedding night, especially those with intimacy anorexia. They dated normal, they got married, and the guy or girl was anorexic right from the beginning. You don't know what you're getting when you get married, so I don't know that you need to use that argument to say, hey, let's have sex before we do that. Well, I'm not a proponent of having lots of sexual experiences because of the brain. It's not necessarily a moral thing, but the brain. So here's what you do: you have sex with 5 different people. They have all different types of encounters, and then you're comparing those 5 people to the one person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And you could actually, in this garden you had an apple, this one you had a banana, and then you marry someone who doesn't have bananas or apples. And then you're really frustrated because you want a freaking banana.
But can't
and that
you
person
date?
doesn't want to give you a banana because they don't have a banana in them.
That's why you go to different orchards to find the banana, no?
Well, that's what happens. Then you end up cheating to go find a banana, but you wouldn't have gone cheating if you never had a banana because you wouldn't know what a banana was.
Okay, well, that is definitely another way to look at that. All right, we're coming up against the end of time, and I wanted you to end with 4 tips that you can give my audience on how they can have the best sex ever.
Sure, we talked about that a little bit. Eyes open, look at each other in the eyes, some kind of light on so that you can see each other. Okay, nurturing conversation. I'm not talking about dirty talk. And then say thank you. I mean, some people say thank you for passing the salt shaker, but they'll say thank you for all the effort it took to make you happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's good to say thank you.
Great.
So some of your audience are going to try this stuff tonight, and they're going to have amazing sex. They can just thank Dr. Marissa for having an awesome sex life.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas Weiss, for all of your great wisdom and your tips. And really, the nicest thing, I think, about your book is it does give a platform to have that discussion. So you're not sort of coming out of left field saying, so, honey, if you really wanted to please me, you would do this. This is more of a balanced, let's come to the middle. Let's figure out together which sex language each one of us are using, and let's see if we can't be prolific at learning additional languages. Correct? Did I get it?
Absolutely. You got it totally right.
Good. And the Asian Oprah giveaway today, thanks to Dr. Douglas Weiss, is a free copy of The Sex Languages. So if you're listening and you'd like a free copy, go to my website, drmarissa.tv. Go to the guest register and put Great Sex in the subject line, and I will get the address to Dr. Weiss, and they'll get that book out to you as soon as they can. Thanks again, Dr. Douglas Weiss, for coming on.
Thank you.
Have the best day ever. And look forward to having that workshop with you on The Amazing Woman. Thank you.
Awesome. Keep up the great work, Dr. Marissa.
Thank you, and you too. All righty. That was fun. That was Dr. Douglas Weiss, The 5 Sex Languages. Again, if you'd like a free copy of that book, go to my website right now, drmarissa.tv, and in the subject line put Great Sex, and I'll get a copy of that book out to you. We're time for the Balance Bar. And it is, you heard the promotion, the 21-day fast from complaining round 63 starts September 1st. So make sure you sign up at my website. It houses the balance tips, and I post every day for 21 days on Facebook, LinkedIn, and sometimes on Instagram with daily tips on how you can be complaint-free. Please do get my app that I developed last year just for you, which houses those tips as well as babies crying when you complain and a big cheer, just like the one you heard now, when you don't complain. You can get that on Google Play and Apple Store for just 99 cents. Who says you can't get anything for $1 these days? And next week, my guest will be my agape friend and mental health advocate, Ramona Bridges, who knows what it's like to thrive despite the experience of mental illness. So keep it here tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Before the dawn, for I am weak and he is strong. He lifts me up so I can see how dark it is before the dawn. It was cold outside and dangerous, and I couldn't see my own good. People hurt me on the outside,